Before we start, one honest disclaimer. $900 a month will not cover a full, comfortable lifestyle anywhere in Canada in 2026. Even in the country's cheapest province, a single person spends close to $1,500 a month on groceries, utilities, and basics alone, before rent is even added in. So when we say $900 in this video, we mean the core, stripped-down number, your rent or your housing cost, the single biggest line item most retirees are trying to shrink. Pair that housing number with a government pension, a small nest egg, or old age security, and in the towns on this list, $900 can realistically cover your roof, sometimes with a little left over. This is not financial advice, and prices shift with the market, so always check current numbers before you pack a single box. With that said, these are 15 real Canadian towns where housing costs have stayed low enough that a modest, disciplined retirement budget can actually work. Stick around, because number 1 has one of the lowest rental markets in the entire country. Let's get into it. Number 15, St. Catharines, Ontario. Tucked in the Niagara region between Lake Ontario and the vineyards of wine country, St. Catharines has earned the nickname the Garden City for its parks, canals, and tree-lined streets. It sits close enough to Toronto and Hamilton for day trips, but its cost of living runs noticeably lower than either. Compared to Toronto, St. Catharines runs roughly 7% cheaper on general cost of living and over 37% cheaper on rent, a gap wide enough to matter every single month. Retirees here find themselves a short drive from Niagara Falls and the escarpment trails, with a multicultural community and a slower rhythm than the cities just up the highway. It is not the cheapest town on this list, but for retirees who still want access to a bigger city's hospitals and amenities without paying big city rent, it is one of the easiest transitions to make. Number 14, Gananoque, Ontario. Known as the Gateway to the Thousand Islands, Gananoque sits along the St. Lawrence River in eastern Ontario, its waterfront lined with boat tours that wind through granite islands dotted with century-old cottages. Home prices here sit well below the Ontario average of roughly $825,000, making it one of the more attainable small towns in the province for retirees on a fixed income. The town itself is walkable, with a historic downtown, a small hospital, and a senior population that has helped shape a slower, community-driven pace of life. Summers bring tourists for the boat cruises and river views, but by autumn, the town quiets back down into the kind of place where neighbors know each other by name. For retirees who want water views without a big city price tag, Gananoque delivers both. Number 13, Goderich, Ontario. Set on the shore of Lake Huron, Goderich is often called one of the prettiest towns in Canada, built around an octagonal town square laid out in the early 1800s, with historic buildings still standing along its edges. It offers 3 separate beaches, dramatic sunsets over the lake, and home prices that remain below the provincial average, even after the town's well-documented rebuild following a 2011 tornado that tore through its downtown core. That rebuild left Goderich with updated infrastructure and a renewed downtown, without inflating prices the way larger tourist towns often do. Retirees drawn to small-town charm, walkable streets, and Great Lakes views find a community here that still feels affordable relative to its beauty, a combination that is increasingly hard to find in southern Ontario. Number 12, Stratford, Ontario. Best known for its world-class Shakespeare Theatre Festival, Stratford blends small-town affordability with a level of arts and culture usually found in much larger cities. The Avon River winds through the center of town, lined with walking trails and swans, while the surrounding streets are filled with well-preserved Victorian architecture. Despite its cultural reputation, Stratford's housing costs remain below many comparable Ontario towns, and its senior services, from health clinics to community centers, are well established thanks to a retiree population that has been growing for years. For anyone who wants a theater season, a walkable downtown, and a slower pace, without paying Toronto-adjacent prices, Stratford offers a rare balance. Number 11, Peterborough, Ontario. Known as the Gateway to the Kawarthas, Peterborough sits roughly a 90-minute drive from Toronto, close enough for visits, far enough for a real cost break. The average home price here runs around 40% cheaper than nearby Toronto, and the overall cost of living sits roughly 8% below the national average. Retirees have long been drawn to the area's lakes and cottage country, many converting seasonal cottages into full-time retirement homes once they realize how much further their pension stretches outside the city. The town has museums, live performances, parks, and a state-of-the-art recreation facility, giving retirees urban amenities inside a small city budget. For those chasing cottage country living without cottage country prices, Peterborough remains one of Ontario's better-kept secrets. Number 10. Camrose, Alberta. About 100 kilometers southeast of Edmonton, Camrose sits on the shore of Mirror Lake, a small prairie city with a median home price of roughly $409,000, well under both the provincial and national averages. Alberta's lack of a provincial sales tax adds an extra, quiet advantage for retirees living on a fixed income, since every purchase, from groceries to furniture, avoids an extra layer of tax most other provinces apply. Camrose offers close access to Edmonton's hospitals for larger medical needs, while daily life happens at a much smaller, quieter scale. Walking trails around the lake, a historic downtown, and a community built around agriculture and small industry. For retirees willing to trade coastline for prairie sky, Camrose is one of the most financially forgiving towns in Western Canada. I hope you're finding this list useful so far. If you are, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep making videos like this one. Now let's keep counting down. Number 9. Red Deer, Alberta. Sitting almost exactly halfway between Calgary and Edmonton, Red Deer functions as a regional hub for agriculture and energy, with home prices that remain meaningfully lower than either of the two big cities it sits between. The city is home to Waskesiu Park, a connected network of green space stretching over 700 hectares, giving retirees access to walking and biking trails most cities only offer in fragments. Alberta's no provincial sales tax advantage applies here too, stretching every retirement dollar a little further on everyday purchases. Red Deer offers full hospital services, a real downtown core, and enough population to avoid the isolation some smaller towns bring, while still keeping housing costs well below what similarly sized cities charge in Ontario or British Columbia. Number 8. Regina, Saskatchewan. As Saskatchewan's capital, Regina combines small-town friendliness with the infrastructure of a real city, home to roughly 257,000 people. It holds some of the lowest property tax rates of any mid-sized Canadian city, a detail that matters enormously for retirees planning to own rather than rent. Rents here remain affordable, home prices moderate, and the pace of growth has stayed steady rather than explosive, which has kept costs from spiking the way they have in faster-growing prairie cities. Regina's economy leans on agriculture, manufacturing, and energy, giving the local job market, and by extension the cost of living, a stability that smaller one-industry towns often lack. For retirees who want city services without city prices, Regina is one of the most balanced options in the country. Number 7. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Manitoba consistently ranks as one of the cheapest provinces to live in Canada, and its capital, Winnipeg, backs that up with numbers. A one-bedroom apartment here rents for just over $1,400 on average, low for a city of this size, home to roughly 834,000 people. Despite the affordability, Winnipeg offers a full arts and culture scene, diverse neighborhoods, and healthcare infrastructure that far smaller towns simply cannot match. Retirees who want an urban lifestyle, museums, theater, restaurants representing dozens of cultures without an urban price tag, consistently point to Winnipeg as one of the most livable, affordable cities on the prairies. Cold winters are the trade-off, but for many retirees, the savings make that trade worth it. Number 6. Quebec City, Quebec. Quebec province as a whole remains the most affordable in Canada for homeownership, and its capital proves that affordability and beauty are not mutually exclusive. Quebec City's oldest neighborhoods sit inside centuries-old stone walls, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, giving retirees a daily backdrop of cobblestone streets and colonial architecture usually found only in much more expensive European cities. Despite that reputation, home prices and rents here remain well below the national average, and the city is consistently ranked among the safest in the country. Retirees drawn to history, walkability, and a slower, more European pace of daily life find that Quebec City delivers all three without the price tag those qualities usually carry elsewhere in Canada. Number 5. Windsor, Ontario. Sitting directly across the river from Detroit, Windsor holds some of the lowest rental prices of any mid-sized city in the country, with one-bedroom apartments typically running between $900 and $1,100 a month. Its southern position gives it the mildest winters in Ontario, with average winter highs hovering near freezing rather than deep into sub-zero territory, a real quality-of-life detail for retirees who have had enough of harsh Canadian winters but aren't ready to leave the country. Steady factory and logistics jobs have long anchored the local economy, keeping housing costs from spiking the way they have in Toronto or Ottawa. For retirees chasing the lowest possible rent while staying inside Ontario, Windsor is difficult to beat. That's 5 towns down, 10 to go, and the next few get even more affordable. Before we continue, if you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss the rest of this series. Now, back to the countdown. Number 4. Corner Brook, Newfoundland and Labrador. Newfoundland and Labrador is widely considered the cheapest province in Canada, and Corner Brook, its second largest city, sits at the center of that affordability. Surrounded by the long-range mountains and framed by the Bay of Islands, Corner Brook offers dramatic scenery that would command a premium almost anywhere else in the country, paired with housing costs that remain among the lowest in Canada. The city functions as a regional hub for the province's west coast, with a hospital, shopping, and enough infrastructure to avoid the isolation of smaller outport towns nearby. Retirees drawn to mountains, coastline, and a genuinely low cost of living find Corner Brook offers a rare combination: real natural beauty without a price tag to match. Number 3. Stephenville, Newfoundland and Labrador. Smaller and quieter than Corner Brook, Stephenville sits on Newfoundland's west coast along St. George's Bay, a former Air Force Base town that has reinvented itself around a much slower, retirement-friendly pace of life. Housing costs here rank among the lowest of any town on this entire list, a reflection of the town's smaller population and its position outside the province's main tourism corridors. Retirees who choose Stephenville often cite the tight-knit community, the coastal views, and the sheer difference in monthly housing costs compared to literally anywhere in mainland Canada. It will not suit everyone, winters are long, and services are more limited than in a larger city, but for retirees whose top priority is stretching a fixed income as far as it will go, few towns in the country offer more house and more coastline for less money. Number 2. Moncton, New Brunswick. Moncton has built a reputation as one of the most retirement-friendly cities in Atlantic Canada, and the numbers back it up. According to cost of living data, Moncton runs roughly 8% cheaper than Toronto overall, and close to 25% cheaper specifically on rent, a gap that adds up fast over a full year. The city sits close to the Bay of Fundy's Tidal Bore and Magnetic Hill, giving retirees easy day trips without leaving the region, while its downtown has grown enough in recent years to offer real restaurants, shops, and healthcare access. New Brunswick as a whole is one of Canada's most affordable provinces, with average monthly living costs running well below the national number, and Moncton sits near the front of that affordability inside the province. For retirees who want a real city with real amenities, but without Ontario or BC pricing, Moncton is consistently one of the top recommendations. And now, number 1, the most affordable retirement town on this entire list, St. John, New Brunswick. St. John may be New Brunswick's oldest incorporated city, but its cost of living is anything but outdated in the best possible way, for retirees watching every dollar. Average home prices here sit around $260,000, a fraction of the national average of roughly $700,000, and one-bedroom rental apartments typically run between $900 and $1,100 a month, putting our headline number for this video within direct reach for renters, not just homeowners. The city sits directly on the Bay of Fundy, giving residents daily access to the highest tides on the planet, along with a walkable uptown core, a growing arts scene, and healthcare infrastructure solid enough to support a large and growing retiree population. Seniors in St. John have access to dedicated discounts and community programs, and the overall pace of the city reflects a place that has leaned into affordability rather than fighting it. If $900 a month toward housing is your real target, and you are pairing that number with a pension, savings, or old-age security to cover the rest, St. John gets you closer to that number than almost anywhere else in the country, without asking you to give up a real city, a real coastline, or a real community. That's the list. 15 towns across the country where a fixed retirement income still has real room to breathe. Remember, $900 covers the roof, not the whole picture. So budget carefully, check current listings before you commit to anything, and talk to a financial advisor if you're planning a major move like this. I hope this video helped you narrow down where that next chapter might begin, so share it with anyone you know who's planning their retirement, and I'll see you in the next one.